Hello, hello, hello again. This is Camille Who, the teaching artist. E equals MC square. This is the, let's see, the drama portion. All right, so I'm going to be sharing with you some of my philosophies, a little bit history of my drama teaching experience. And the next few videos are going to be little things that I taught in my drama classes and why, and my approach and why, some of my philosophies, what approach I used. So at this point, you know that I'm a natural teacher. I've always broken things down to its simplest, finest, why this all came from a challenge that I had with comprehension. And that I always felt like it can't just be me that has this problem, right? And I would come across people who, you know, when you try to teach them music or you try to teach them dance, a dance step or something, and they can't quite grasp it, but if you just break it down to its finest, smallest bits, then they can get it and grasp it, and then they're able to learn it. So it's not always about how quickly you can pick it up. It's all about how you pick it up. Some people are kinetic learners. Some people have to hear. Some people have to just see. We all learn so differently. And I think I just had the desire to really be able to break it down to anybody. I think that was more of a challenge for myself. What's holding this person back? Okay, well, let me see if I can break it down and then have it graspable for them. And then I would do it. So, and that all came from one of my challenges that I had with comprehension. Like, I could spell words amazingly. I got great spelling test scores, and math, that was my jam. Symbols and sequences, always my thing, but give me something to read, and it took me forever to comprehend. But if someone sort of took the time out, or if sometimes I have to read the same line over and over again, and that was, I ended up, and that was the only way, and I can't have any distractions and no music and no other sounds. I have to hear my voice saying it. So hearing was also a part of how I would learn as well. But certain ways, hearing, like if I'm just hearing a bunch of words come to me, I'm like, okay, my brain just went 50 miles away, and now can you repeat that again as if I'm a 3-year-old? So that was being able to overcome that challenge allowed me to be able to help other people, and also just challenging myself to break stuff down so I can explain it universally. I also like picking apart how things work, how the brain works, and explaining it to people. So yeah, in case you haven't figured out, I like explaining things. I like telling a good story. And if you've stuck around this long, then maybe you don't mind it. All right, so I'm going to go into my drama teaching history a little bit. It all started back in 19... Okay. It all started where, goodness, well, you already know some of my challenges, but also my interest in really just understanding how a thing works and how a thing operates and how a brain works and how people work, and being able to explain it and make it understandable to myself and other people. That, coupled with my performing arts background. I was in plays in school, I was in chorus and choirs, and I went to the music and art, performing arts high school, the Fame High School in New York City. My performing arts background, it all sort of worked together and made sense. I then started to coordinate Miss Talented Teen pageants in the community back when I was living in New York, and really just coordinating it, choreographing it, directing it. I love teaching. All right, I found out this at a very early age. I love teaching. I love breaking stuff down. I love teaching small bites so that everyone can get it. There's something about that just gets me. Go figure. We all have a thing. I'm going to cut to getting hired with the show STOMP. Now, I was always singing. I was always dancing. I would do church plays. I would do school plays, but not necessarily knowing the ins and outs of acting, of theater, of drama. Years later, I got hired. I auditioned and got hired for the show STOMP. Now, that's big time, okay? And it was there, especially because you don't use your voice. It's acting. It's acting and music. So there is drama with your body, with your eyes. You're telling a story and you're playing music. And because of that, that gave me a crash course in theater, in the theater realm, the theater lingo, and also the fundamentals of acting. I really learned in real time with the show STOMP. And I was with that show for 10 years. So it really drilled in there, and it was just an asset to my career and to my background and to what I had to offer in any given artistic, creative environment. Later on, let's see, that then led to me moving. Now, this was a big, courageous move, going from New York City, leaving what I know, and moving to a whole other state. And I knew, now this was the towards the end of my STOMP career, I knew that as I was coming to a close of leaving STOMP, I wanted to, and knowing that I was coming into a whole other community, a whole other state, I knew that I wanted to get in and be a part of the artistic community or the arts community. Did I know how to do it? No, I did not. But I knew that that was a desire. This was 20 years ago. I brought my children to wrestling. I signed them up for wrestling. And my daughter, so two of my sons were wrestling on the wrestling team, and my daughter was on the cheerleading team, and we just wanted to try that out for a year. And so during one of those practices, I met a wonderful couple who I am to this day still friends with. They're very dear friends of mine and very amazing people in the community as well. Anyway, so in getting to know them, they were both involved in a community theater and a community theater production. The theater is called Touchstone Theater. Giving my shout out to Touchstone Theater. And my daughter was on the cheerleading team, and so we during one of those practices, I met a wonderful couple who I am to this day still friends with. They're very dear friends of mine and very amazing people in the community as well. Anyway, so in getting to know them, they were both involved in a community theater and a community theater production. The theater is called Touchstone Theater. because they still do some really great things in the community, and trying to get the different communities, the different cultures to commingle and reach different communities. It's beautiful what they're doing, and I mean, to this day I still do work with Touchstone Theater, so that has never gone away. It's never stopped. Let's see. So I met this beautiful couple, and they actually recruited me to be a part of this show. It was called Don Quixote. It was like this theatricade. I've never been a part of anything like it. We basically took the show and had all these different sites in the town that we each scene was on a different site. So everyone, the audience, the production, to everything, the musicians all had to keep traveling to a different site to do each scene. It was incredible. It was huge. We had a lot of community involvement. Some people were actors, some people were singers, some people were dancers, some people were musical directors, some people were composers. It was incredible. And just what a beautiful introduction to the community. And so I was recruited as an actress, a music director, one of the music directors, a choreographer, a dancer, and a writer. Yes, a writer. I had a songwriter. I had to take a huge poem, which was a monologue, and then create a song into that. From that, had I ever done that before? Nope. But I was willing, and I knew not to say no. I'll give you that philosophy a little bit later. Next up was I stayed involved with Touchstone Theater, and then they asked me to teach movement in acting. And so I taught, but then I learned a lot of acting things as well, as far as teaching youth the fundamentals, the basics, and really just keeping what I know from being in STOMP and being able to incorporate that as well. Later on, we found out about a place called Pennsylvania Youth Theater. Shout out to PYT. When my daughter got enrolled, and she was taking dance and vocal music, and then she stayed with dance. But then she also was involved in the main stage productions as well as an actress, and eventually moved on to going to the Performing Arts High School here in Pennsylvania, where we are, as a theater major. So cool. Anyway, that's how we got to know Pennsylvania Youth Theater, or PYT. They got introduced to me, I got introduced to them. They invited me to teach. I started teaching dance there, then I started teaching movement and drama, and then I started teaching drama. And for a while, I was the only teacher that taught in 2 divisions. Now, now there's another teacher that teaches in 2 divisions. That's so cool. I think that's so cool. It's just unique. It doesn't make anyone better or worse or whatever. It just is I think it's a cool quality to be able to teach in 2 divisions. But they do acting, and they teach acting, and they teach singing, and they teach dance. It was there really that I started to have my own drama classes. And in that, I used principles from massage therapy and healing arts and Broadway theater fundamentals and dance, and I incorporated it all and made them all intertwine. So I had this really unique approach to the curriculum and the lesson plan, and that's what made my teaching my own. As I look back, I think of like how does that even happen, right? How do you go from singing to then dancing to then teaching? I mean, like how does that even happen? And I go back and I think about what made that possible for me. What did I do that allowed me to have this string of experiences and be able to, goodness, like have such an adventurous career? And that was because I come from New York City, and here's the New York City ethic, is that you say yes. Whether you know how to do it or not, you say yes. Someone asks you if you know how to, hey, can you create a unique experience for these students who play percussion and whatever. And I was like, yeah, sure. But you look it up, you figure it out, you break it down. And I was good at breaking things down and teaching, so why not just sort of put my head to it, put my mind to it, and figure it out. And I was able to do that. So it just led to this whole string of experiences, which is so cool. Being in the arts culture there, you learn how to say yes. Another reason why is because there are 50, at least 50 other people just as talented, if not more, that are willing to take that gig. So if it comes to you, it presents itself to you, you say yes and you do it. You figure it out and you do it. Another thing is, learning how to be professional. When you're professional, it goes a long way, and people call you back, and then before you know it, you have this reputation that precedes you. And then people say, you know what, I know just the person that can do this. That was a part of what I offered as a creative artist. It was, if you're looking for a unique experience, I can consult you on it, or I can help you create one. And that was sort of one of my hooks early on. I think it's more of a given now. I was once involved in the Cassandra Awards, which is like the Grammy Awards in Dominican Republic. And it was like, it's so crazy. They were looking for a woman who was tough and can play percussion and also teach choreography for a performance that was being done at these awards, which was, can I just say, the largest production I had ever been a part of to this day. The largest by far. They had asked that person, who was a friend of mine, or a fellow colleague of mine, and that person said, I know just the person. And he called me and said, hey, any chance that you're available? Yeah, sure, dude. Like, let's go to DR. And had that experience. And really, since then, have called me back a few times to do it because of my professionalism. So that's really, really important. And it goes a long way. It goes above. And when you go above and beyond, it goes a long way. And people remember it, because the arts community in anywhere that you are is actually it's a network. And so, people remember you if you are professional. They want to forget you if you're not professional. There's a little tip there for you aspiring artists in any form or fashion. So, cut to 20 years later. There is, let's see, Touchstone Theater. Since then, I've written 2 shows. This is, 20 years living in this new, it's no longer new, but moving to this new state and this new place, and moving out of the familiar and taking that big giant step. I wrote 2 shows, choreographed, directed. One of those shows was a one-woman show. I did it all in rhyme. Cray, but I did it, and directed it, and choreographed in it, and performed in it. Oh, and PYT, I taught for 15 seasons. I literally just left. It's still a home away from home. I still go and teach whenever they need me. If they need me to cover, I teach a tap class, or I teach an acting class. Whatever it is, if they need me to cover and I'm available, I'm so there. They are a family. You just never know where you're going to go, how far you're going to go. If you say yes, nowadays you can go to Google. You can look it up on Google. If you need to find out how to do a thing, and you find out how to do that thing, and then you go and you be professional about it and you be unique about it. And it leads to this whole string of other things. And so here we are 20 years later, and I remember wanting to, when I first moved here, wanting to be a part of the arts community. And I look back and I'm referred to as a prominent figure in the arts community now, 20 years later. And I am not only just a part of the community, but I realize I'm a thread in the very fabric of this arts community. And it's so interesting. You don't really know that this is what you're doing, but you just take on an opportunity. You take that, you take that, you take that. And before you know, it's so many different opportunities that you're just doing it. As an artist, you just do it. I don't have a Bible verse about this, but I do have a little Bible story that I'm going to share about. Not really all the full story because it's a big one. It's about Abraham, in case most of you probably know Father Abraham had many sons. Many sons had Father Abraham. God spoke to Abraham and said, leave your kindred, leave your family, leave what you're familiar, what's familiar to you, and I will bless you. I'll tell you where to go. I'll tell you when you get there. And I will bless you for it. So it was crazy. Abraham's like, he didn't question God. He didn't say, well, how am I going to know? What are you going to tell me? Like, am I going north, south, east, west? Like, what am I doing? What time do I need to leave? And really, like, everybody, like, he just took that step out on faith. He trusted God with what God was pulling him to do, and he did it. And it was a courageous move, but it was also the very thing that led to this huge blessing. In my little case, in my little space of the world, I took the step out on faith, and I was able to just be exposed to so many different opportunities, travel the world, be an important part of the creative development of many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children. And it's not even over for me. I still have so much to do. All right, I'm Camille Who, the teaching artist, and I am